Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Tarot by Hilary Live. I am your host, Hilary of tarotbyhilary.com. Notice the URL is down below if you want to book a reading with me. I am a professional tarot reader, demystifying the mystical and connecting you to your own intuition using the power and tool of the tarot cards. And if you don't think that you have intuition, and if you've been tuning in to these for a while, you know what I'm about to say. You, my friend, do have intuition. Everybody has intuition. That is my strongly held long-term belief. Everyone has intuition. And tools like the tarot, like runes, like the I Ching, like tasseomancy, aka tea leaf reading, all of these tools are to help access your own intuition, which you already have, but maybe have forgotten that you know what you know. When we're children, we are that much more in connection to the things that seem other, that seem to have no explanation, but we truly feel in our hearts and our bodies and in our own innate wisdom. And as we grow up, we kind of tend to put those pursuits aside or think that we don't have that power within us because it's not logical. And then as we're adults and we want to return back to our intuition, it is almost an unlearning, going back to the basics of what we already knew when we were children. So, welcome back. If you are tuning in live, please let me know in the comments section and just say I'm here live, who you are, where you're tuning in from. I would love to hear it. And if you are watching the replay, that's awesome too. Just say replay. Hi, I'm tuning in from wherever you're tuning in from. I am from New York. So hello, I am Hilary and I am from New York. So if you read the description of this video, you would know that we did court cards last week on Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to tune in live, I do this every Friday. So last week we talked about the court cards, just general information about that, which I will reiterate here. And then we went through each and every court card, but one by one to show what makes the pages, what makes the knights, the knights. And now for this episode, we are going to be talking about the queens and the kings. So I was teaching the court cards in order of from lowest, even though the page isn't a low thing, but more towards, there's the minor arcana, ace through 10, and then after the 10 is the pages, then the knights, then the queens, then the kings. So that's the reason why I'm teaching it in this order. So Devon is here and she is tuning in live. Hello, Devon. Speaking of that, so I am currently open for enrollment for this year's round of the Tarot Intuitive Online Chorus. And the first 5 people to sign up, and it is a very small class. I am only accepting 15 people because I want to keep it nice and tight and small. No tarot student left behind. That is my motto. You are not a number to me. And if I have people in the chorus that feel like they're not getting their questions answered or they're just a little cog in the wheel, then I haven't done my job right. That's how I feel. So that's the reason why the Tarot Intuitive group is very, very small, so that I know all 15 people, all 15 students that are in the group, as well as the students that we had for last year, the inaugural round of the Tarot Intuitive. So yes, to let you guys know, the price of it, it's a 5-week chorus. We meet on Mondays and Wednesdays at a time that as a group we will come to an understanding with. And if Mondays and Wednesdays don't work for everybody, we're going to fashion it so whatever works for the majority of the students, that's what we're going to do, because I'd rather teach live in the group, and then you can always have the replays if you can't make it to the live classes. But it's 5 weeks of tarot instruction 4 modules and 4 weeks of the main instruction of the Tarot Intuitive, and then the 5th week is a bonus week where you guys tell me what you want to learn and I will accommodate you. And even if it's not a topic that I regularly teach, I will bring in an expert if I need to. If you want to learn something that I don't particularly teach, I've got you. That is how strongly I feel about this course. And this is a course that I created because I just did not have this, and I wish I did. So now I'm creating it for my students so that they don't have to feel like they're all alone in learning the tarot, which is what I had to do when I first started learning the tarot. And I had all of these doubts and concerns whether I was reading these cards right. My opinion or my interpretation differs from the little white book. Does that mean that I'm wrong and the little white book is right? Because that's what I think it is. And actually, more often than not, I realized that my personal interpretations was just an offset of me learning the tarot and understanding it in my own way. So enough about that. I just want to let you guys know it's still open for enrollment, and it will be open for enrollment for this year's class until Monday. And Monday is the first day we're starting too. So enrollment is only open for 1 week. And it is $397. And it is one-time payment for the lifetime of me teaching the Tarot Intuitive. So that's right. You pay one time and you're in there like swimwear for the next time I teach it. So if you get in there this time around, next time this year, this time next year, you're in again for the Tarot Intuitive if you want to be and retake it. So very excited. And the first 5 people to sign up get a tarot deck. I will mail you a tarot deck. And if you already have an opinion of what you want, you can put that in there too. And let me buy you it. But if you don't have a preference, I also want to make sure that I'm sending out the deck that you're going to use for the Tarot Intuitive course. So when in doubt, I've been sending out the Rider-Waite-Smith, which is my go-to. So yay! So that is my spiel, my promotional spiel. Join me in the Tarot Intuitive Chorus. I would love to see you in the online classroom. I'm so looking forward to teaching it this year. I learned so much from my students last year, and they learned so much from me. And that's really the joy of teaching tarot, is every time I teach someone new, it's special, it's magical, especially the group of students that come together each year. Each of us has such a different background or way of seeing the tarot, and it all becomes cumulative, and we all start to understand each other's perspectives about the tarot and grow in such a way that it's just so much better teaching in a group, because sometimes that that one-on-one experience, while it's nice, there is such a thing as side coaching and side teaching, where I might be directing my attention at one student, but the fact that you're there and you're listening, you're then also getting taught because of the question that student asked. Well, you wouldn't have had that particular question if it was just a one-on-one session. So yay! And Devon is one of the new students. She's really looking forward to the chorus. Let me go ahead and pop that in here. Thank you, Devon. And your tarot deck is on its way. I sent you the shipping information, so hopefully you will receive it by Monday or before Monday. I think it's probably going to come to you tomorrow, I would say, because I placed the order last night. So yay! But enough about that. Join us in the Tarot Intuitive. It is open until Monday, and you can just go onto my website, www.tarotbyhilary.com, and it is on the top navigation. It just says the Tarot Intuitive course. You can find out all about it there. And yeah, okay. So, and again, hop on here. If you're tuning in live or you're watching the replay, let me know where you're tuning in from. I would love to hear it. And let us continue with our discussion of court cards. So as I said before, we've already tackled what court cards are, where they fit into the structure of the tarot deck, and a little bit about, you know, them overall, their overall energy. And then we got really into depth with the pages and the knights. So, and I held up the pictures of the pages and the knights based on Teresa Reed's wonderful book, The Tarot Coloring Book. It's a really great resource, not just for beginners, but for seasoned professionals, someone that wants to go back in and color as well. And actually, that's the reason why she created the Tarot Coloring Book. This was her first book. She's super, super prolific, Miss Teresa is, because she's come out with Astrology for Real Life. She's come out with Tarot for Troubled Times with Shaheen Miro. This woman is just cooking with the writing and with the books. But this was her first book, and it's excellent. I mean, all of her books are excellent. So go out and pick up Tarot for Troubled Times and Astrology for Real Life. Okay? Okay. But the Tarot Coloring Book, she was going to do a beginner tarot book or just a tarot book. And then she wondered, well, can I make this into a coloring book? Because she is also a yoga teacher, and as being a certified yoga teacher, she had to learn anatomy. And she learned anatomy best, because this was her learning style, by using the anatomy coloring book. And for some reason, that made more sense to her, and she was able to memorize what she needed to memorize in order to have her yoga certification. So too, in the same way, is the tarot coloring book for tarot. And all 78 cards are in this book, and you can color all 78 cards. Now, as I was saying before, I have not gotten the time to really play with this and color in. So the Fool card is the only one that I have truly colored in all the way. Excuse me. So, and I also have the Buddhist saying, leap and the net shall appear underneath it, because I always think of that phrase when I see the Fool. Not always, but a lot of the time I will think of that phrase. So what I was doing last time around was holding up the court cards. So not only is this a great resource to color, but Teresa provides so much knowledge about the background, how the tarot became to be what it is, the major arcana and what that means, the minor arcana and what that means, and of course, the court cards, which is what we were talking about. And tonight, part two. Part two. So let me refresh everyone's memories, and I will provide a link when I put this replay up on YouTube. I will try and link back to part one of this discussion about the court cards, so you can get more in-depth information about the pages and the knights, which we went over last week. So just to recap, recapping the court cards, pages, the court cards depict human figures, men, women, and children. These figures often represent people in your life, as well as specific opportunities that you are manifesting at this time. And also remember that court cards really are, can be a stumbling block for people, because they can represent so many different things. They do have the human figures on the card, but also it could be a person in your life that it's representing, or it could represent a personality trait that you need to cultivate in order to get through a situation, or it could be representative of an energy of the situation or the situation itself. So how do you know you're interpreting a court card correctly? Well, you do have to feel your way, and you also have to look at the context of where this court card falls in a spread and look at the surrounding cards to be able to make your interpretation. Especially so if you happen to have a spread that assigns positional meanings to where the card falls. If a court card falls in something in a positional meaning that's usually representative about a person that may help you, and then a court card's in there, that might be an indication that, yes, that is really a person that we're talking about here. So that's a way to know, how do I interpret a court card? How do I know that this is not just a message if we're talking about the pages, or it's a young person? Context clues are everything when it comes to the tarot, and also feeling your way and being willing to be wrong as well is pretty powerful. A lot of people come to me and they're just like, well, I want to be right. And it's just like, but you gotta be willing to be wrong to get to your right, and know how it feels in your body, to be interpreting or actually using your intuition rather than guessing. And a lot of the time when we begin divination and learning a divination system, we often do feel like we're guessing, because that's our logical mind kicking in, and sometimes guessing and sometimes second guessing ourselves. And it takes time and it takes practice to know the feeling and how you feel, to differentiate between intuition, the voice of fear, or what you're fearing things to happen, or whether or not you're wrong or guessing. So if this sounds interesting to you, we do talk about this in the Tarot Intuitive course. Advertising, but we do talk about this so we can know how to distinguish the voice of intuition from the voice of fear. That is in module 2, I believe, all about the clairs. So most people think about clairvoyance when they hear clair, but there are many types of intuitive clairs and different people have usually 2 or more, but they're strongest in 2, a combination. So, but if this sounds interesting to you, join us in the Tarot Intuitive course. Okay, so pages are youthfulness, new seeds, messages, can indicate young children as well. Knights are young men swinging into action, perhaps on a quest. And we're going to be talking in depth about the queens and the kings coming up right now. Queens are feminine power and nurturing energy, and the kings are a mature male, masculine leadership and mastery. So one important note, and this is coming from Teresa, but I do agree with her. With the court cards and all of the cards in your tarot deck, try not to get overly fixated on the gender of the figure in the card. Remember that everyone carries both masculine and feminine energy inside them. Getting a knight card doesn't always indicate a young, action-oriented man, and a middle-aged woman might possess that same youthful masculine energy. So if you're doing a tarot reading and you pull a card depicting a knight, try not to interpret the image too literally. Same thing can be said again with, I just had lost my train of thought there. But a special emphasis can be on like not interpreting the image too literally. And there is also traditional meanings that go along with court cards that I don't really ascribe to, but there is something to be said about, a knight means a brown-haired man with light eyes. Now, this is just coming from the top of my head. That's not actually what the Knight of Swords means, for example. But there was a school of thought in tarot, in more traditional tarot, where a court card could indicate physical features of a person. Now, I don't recommend doing it that way. I recommend more gearing yourself towards the personality traits of, say, the Queen of Wands, for example, rather than the physical description that may or may not go with it. So I hope that makes sense to everyone. If that makes sense to everyone, give me a hell yeah in the chat. Let me know that this is making sense to you. I was going to set up my my phone to do this live also in Instagram, but I realized that I have my stand up here, but I didn't grab my phone. So once again, Instagram users, I will have something for you soon. I promise. All right. So let's start talking about the queens and the kings. And I'm going to read the description of the queens and the kings. So from Teresa's book. But these are, again, keywords and meanings that are traditionally ascribed, just as like a quick fix, like flashcards. But as you're reading and as you're learning tarot, like if other things come to mind when you see these cards, especially if you do a card of the day practice, by all means write that down. Your personal connection to the tarot is the most important thing. And as long as it doesn't seem completely outlandish, it's right. You know what's right for you, and that personal connection and that personal interpretation is going to hold more weight than anything in anyone's book can tell you. Books are great. I love books. That's how I first learned tarot, as well as playing with the cards and practicing the cards. But ultimately, it's your experience with the cards that is going to inform you the most and inform the depth of your knowledge the most. So write down what you're feeling, what you're seeing from these cards. Like I'll wait. Let me pull up the first one, which is going to be, let's see. Let's go with the queens first. So while I'm flipping through this, and we're going to start with the Queen of Wands first, what I want you to do, and I'm going to go ahead and grab some water here, my Perrier Lime. Damn you, Gala Darling, for your Perrier Lime obsession that is now transferred onto me. So I'm going to go ahead and drink some water. This is a great hydration break for you as well. Drink a lot of water when you're doing this work. It tends to really help move the energy through you, and so that you don't take on other people's energy when you're doing this work too. While I'm doing that, grab yourself a notebook and a pen to take some notes, especially when I pull up these cards, because I am going to show the cards on the, let me see, show in stream. There we go. So we're going to start with the Queen of Wands, but I'm going to take a quick hydration break and allow you to go get pen and paper, because not only, I don't want you to write down what I'm saying, I want you to write down what you're seeing when you see these cards. So we're doing this a little bit more in depth with the Queen of Wands and the King of Wands, like the queens and the kings. But I just want to show you, like, your intuition is completely valid here too. So let me take down the little agenda card here, just so you can see this unfettered. I'm going to take off the overlay too, just for right now, even though it's really pretty and people comment on it all the time. I love it too, but I want you to be able to see the card in its unfettered way. So there you go. All right, water break for everyone. Grab a piece of paper and a pen so you can take some notes, or, pull it up on your computer, pull a, notepad up on your computer. Okay. And if you're watching the replay, you can pause. Pause and go get it, and then come back. Okay. So, as you can see, we have the beautiful Queen of Wands sitting there. You don't necessarily need my face right now. Just focus on the Queen of Wands. That's over right there. And I can, let me see if I can pull this down for a second. Let me go for, all right. So she's front and center. I'm wondering if you can see her a little bit better. No, this is fine as is. Okay, can you see her, and can you still hear me? Give me a hell yeah in the chat. Let me know that you're still here and that you can hear me and see me, so that we can continue. I'm going to presume that is the case. All right. Devon's saying yes. I'm going to take you at your word. So the Queen of Wands is the element of fire. And to tell you about the queens nurture and they lead. And the Queen of Wands is the generous and honest female leader who loves to be in the spotlight. So again, this is coming from the Tarot Coloring Book by Teresa Reed. And there are many, many books out on the market that give keywords and interpretations and go into cards in depth. And by all means, go out and read the ones that light you up inside and you feel resonance with. But again, I would love to hear, and if you want to write these down or if you want to share them in the chat as they're coming to you, please go ahead and do so. Your personal connection is the most important thing. So, so Queens nurture and lead. Queen of Wands is a generous and honest female leader who loves to be in the spotlight. So the Queen of Wands sits with her legs wide open and a black cat at her feet. She's confident and comfortable. She appreciates the simple things and loves her life. Her energy is sexual and candid. What you see is what you get. She is not shy about being herself. Think a bold lead singer of an all-girl band. This card can be a reminder to nurture your creative fire. So when I see the Queen of Wands, I will do a little bit of the reversals, but again, I said it last week. I'll say it again. I'll say it till the cows come home. If you don't want to read with reversals, you do not have to read with reversals. I would recommend you try it out and see if you'd like it. But if you don't like it, don't do it. And I do believe that I did do a free workshop about reversals. So go ahead and check that out on my YouTube channel or in the Facebook page. It's both in both places, but you don't have to read with reversals if you don't want to. So when I see the Queen of Wands, I think about artists for some reason. I think about, because Wands is about the will, the drive, why you do what you do. And when the Queen of Wands comes up, she can be very sensual. She can get very sexy. Notice on the throne there, it looks like lions. I do associate Queen of Wands with the fire sign of Leo. That doesn't necessarily mean that there is an astrological association, but I tend to see her that way. I'm just thinking of my best friend who is also a Leo, and Queen of Wands definitely fits her. So, but this Queen of Wands is brazen and bold, not afraid of the spotlight in the slightest, and also very creative. And I have some clients that are painters, that are artists, and the Queen of Wands often comes up as a significator card for them to indicate them in that situation, just to say like, yep, I see you, or you need to be in this place at this time. So Queen of Wands can come up for them often just as a reminder of like knowing who they are or knowing to be creative. So that's the Queen of Wands to me. I would love to hear what people's thoughts are in the chat. If you would like to chime in, that's fine. So the reverse Queen of Wands becomes domineering and melodramatic. Sometimes reversals of the court cards can tend to show the extremes of the energy, whether it's wishy-washy sometimes with like the Queen of Cups reversed, or whether it's like too melodramatic with, in this case, the Queen of Wands. So domineering and melodramatic, this is a queen bee who will stop at nothing to get her way. Jealousy and bitterness are possible. Temperamental and flighty. She may be helpful, but only to a point. When the going gets tough, she gets going. See, this is why I love this book, Teresa. It's such a gem. But that is the reversed Queen of Wands. And you can go ahead and you can look at the symbols. And again, pick up this book if you don't have it. It is super, super helpful. So you see the black cat. And again, this is based on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. That is what I usually teach. Even if you have like the Gummy Bear Tarot or the Zombie Tarot, there are a lot of really common symbols. Even if the theme differs, like the artistic theme differs, you can still tell that the Queen of Wands is the Queen of Wands. So the black cat might not appear in Queen of Wands that is not particularly like straight one-on-one match to the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So, but in this case, for ease of teaching, I'm going to go with the Rider-Waite. So the Black Cat, he's not bad luck. He's perhaps a companion or the Queen's familiar. Queen of Wands can sometimes indicate witchiness as well. Lions, again, I pointed to the lions on the throne, symbolizing courage and power. The never-ending throne, there's no top to the Queen's throne, so there's a lot of potential there. And then the colors as well. So orange, yellow, red, typically colors of the fire element. So I'm not going to go into this much depth with every single card, just to let you know that. But again, this is why I'm saying the tarot coloring book is an excellent, excellent resource, because it gives you the element, it gives you a little blurb about that particular card, it gives you an upright meaning, a reversed meaning, and going through the symbols, the main symbols on the card. So really great resource. Okay, so that is the Queen of Wands. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the Queen of, not the Queen of Wands, thank you, the Queen of Swords. So bear with me here so I can grab her. Okay, so the Queen of Swords is the element of air. The Queen of Swords is the cool, logical queen who never loses her head. She is concerned with truth and justice above all. Now, Queen of Swords, on a side note here, I'm not reading from the book, Queen of Swords can be the bitch of the tarot. She is very tell it like it is. She can be very blunt with her, the way she communicates with people, because swords traditionally is the element of air and can indicate conflict and communication. So that air element is all about that breath of the voice. Sometimes can indicate writing as well. But the Queen of Swords doesn't really suffer fools lightly. And she can be a bit blunt and a bit like cutting both ways when she speaks, like that quick cutting tongue. That is the Queen of Swords. And the reason why I can call her a bitch of the tarot is because I identify very, very strongly with the Queen of Swords. I don't suffer fools lightly. I do tend to tell it like it is. I don't sugarcoat. And if you're brave enough to get a tarot reading with me, these are the things, this is the quality of my tarot readings that people tend to become my regular clients, because I don't sugarcoat, because I do tell it like it is. There are some clients that they work with me once and they never work with me again because they don't like that style. I am blessed to have clients that do like that style. So if you want a reading with me, this is how I read. I read like the Queen of Swords. I also read like the High Priestess. There you go. Dina's here. Hi, Dina. How are you doing? So let's talk about the Queen of Swords. So that was just my side note. This is what I see when I see the Queen of Swords. So this is coming from Teresa now. Back to the tarot coloring book. I'm going to prop it up here so that you know when I'm speaking and when I'm quoting from Teresa's book, okay? Okay. This is a wise woman who rules with rationality. The female thought leader, visionary, or judge. Sometimes this card is interpreted as a widow or a woman who has tasted the sorrow of loss. That's really interesting. She's professional and career-orientated, a perfectionist with a big vision. This queen invites you to nurture your ideas, be smart, and use your head. So I do sometimes, when I see this card, think of the phrase, keep it simple, stupid. You know, like that it's not very kind, but it's also kind of like, you know, use your head, like work smarter, not harder. That's another thing that I think of when I think of both the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords. So again, feel what you feel, interpret what you interpret when you see this card. There's so many symbols on this that I'm not going to get into every one of them. But like there's like, it looks like a little angelic figure on the throne. I think it's more to symbolize the element of air, the sword, the colors. So I'm not going to go in depth with the symbols, but you can see them right here. Okay. So the reverse meaning of the Queen of Swords, again, you don't have to use reversals if you don't want to, can symbolize cruelty and bitterness, someone who's cold and manipulative. This could represent a backstabber or malicious gossip, someone with the inability to understand people's feelings, an ice queen. So yes, when the Queen of Swords comes up reversed, sometimes it is an indication that you're being unfeeling. If it is directed at you, or if you believe it is another person in the mix, that person could be needing a little bit more of the milk of compassion in order to understand the situation or navigate the situation. So there you go. So that's the Queen of Swords. Again, chime in if you're seeing anything different or interesting about these as I'm going through them. So we've done Queen of Wands already. I'm going to go ahead and shut that off so I don't have that in there. And I'm going to go ahead and hide the Queen of Swords because we are now on to the Queen of Pentacles. And please let me know if you can still hear me and see me as we're going through this. Because sometimes I tear ahead and I don't know that the feed is lost until 5-10 minutes later. Don't want to do that. So, Pentacles. Pentacles. I love the Queen of Pentacles. I am more a Queen of Swords than a Queen of Pentacles, but I aim to be more of a Queen of Pentacles or a Queen of Cups. So again, this is a great thing that you can do with the court cards, even not in the context of a tarot reading, but you can look at these court cards and think about, what court card am I today? And what court card would I like to be today? Really good stuff. You can use tarot in so many different ways. It does not have to be just about divination. So, Queen of Pentacles, the element is earth. The Queen of Pentacles symbolizes material success and abundance. She can bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan. The Queen of Pentacles is the caring, reliable woman who takes a practical approach to any and all situations. This is the Earth Mother, who creates security for herself and those in her care. She is fond of material pleasures in life and has business acumen. She trusts herself, and you can too. She's got it going on. So, yeah, Queen of Practicality is the Queen of Pentacles. So it's another P word, but practicality is the name of the game when you're talking about the Queen of Pentacles. There's also a lot of abundance in that card. There's that bower of flowers on the top, over the top of the throne. There's a little bunny rabbit. There's a fruitful harvest. It's just a gorgeous card, and you can just feel the abundance coming through the card. Definitely a card about finances as well, and career. So reversed, the Queen of Pentacles loses her luster and has trouble trusting the world or herself. Her energy becomes clingy, scared, and unfocused, possibly ungrounded as well, which is what I think of when I see a Pentacles card reversed. I think about being grounded versus being ungrounded. The cupboards are bare, at least in her mind, and confidence is replaced with insecurity. When reversed, this card can indicate a lack of success, possessiveness, and the dark side of materialism. So while Queen of Pentacles reversed doesn't have to be a bad thing, it can sometimes, again, indicate the extremes of materialistic. You might not be destitute. You might be getting everything that you ever wanted, but feeling it to be hollow. That might be an interpretation of the Queen of Pentacles reversed. So keep this in mind. Always feel your way, feel what your intuition is telling you about this card. And if you're ever in doubt, tell the story that is on the card. This sometimes can be harder when we talk about the court cards because it's just a figure on a throne sometimes. But we did do a little bit of work last week when we were talking about the pages and the knights and the horses that the knights were on as well, talking about posture as well, looking at the posture, looking about, is it an offensive stance versus a defensive stance? All of these things can tell you more information or be able to interpret the card. So that's the Queen of Pentacles. I'm going to remove that. And the final queen that we haven't talked about yet is the Queen of Cups. And hopefully I'll do that in the same, I'm going to probably do it wands, swords, pentacles, and cups again for the kings. I think I have it in the same order. If I don't have it in the same order, don't yell at me. So let me get back to the cups. Uh-oh. There's the Queen of Cups. She was hiding. So the Queen of Cups is a very beautiful card. And as you can see, it's not hard to guess what the ruling element is of the court cards in particular, because they have that element so strongly on them. So in this case, this is the water element with being the Queen of Cups. She is on the shore. The water is there. Some Queen of Cups are depicted as having the toe in the water, as well as leaning back on the throne. And then she has the big cup with the lid on it as well, the big chalice. So it's interesting that we don't talk about that in here, but I'm going to point it out. So notice that the chalice has a lid on it as well. It's interesting. Yep. So Dina, you're ahead. You're on it, right? What does it mean that her cup is covered? What do you think it means that her cup is covered? I'd love to hear it. But what I think it means that her cup is covered. So we do talk a lot about mastery of these elements. And as you go through the court cards, you're getting further and further into the mastery of that particular element. So the pages, they're new. They're just starting out. They're just understanding that particular element that they're associated with, whether it's Page of Cups, for example. Like what I was saying last week, Page of Cups can sometimes indicate emotional immaturity, because that's the first of the court cards. They don't know yet how to express their feelings, maybe. So Knight of Cups, charging in, hard on sleeve. Queen of Cups, there's a lid on top of that cup. So while the Knight of Cups is holding the cup out and open and uncovered, that kind of shows the heart on the sleeve aspect. When the water is our emotions, our feelings, our love, sometimes our intuition as well. Queen of Cups can be a very intuitive card. But with the lid on top of this cup, that can show it's contained, it's mastered, you're getting there. I hope that makes sense. That's what I think of when I see the lid on the cup. So great question, Dina. Sounds like people are really, really getting the court cards. See, they don't have to be scary. You don't have to be scared of the court cards. So from Teresa's excellent The Tarot Coloring Book, element is water. The Queen of Cups connotes emotional and creative goals realized, emotional intelligence, and healing. The Queen of Cups is feminine, sensitive, and creative. Naturally psychic, she trusts her feelings in all matters. She is able to focus her will and nurture her dreams. How will you turn your dreams into reality? And the reversed meaning is overly emotional or manipulative. Hello, drama queen. So not that dissimilar to the Queen of Wands. There is a melodrama there, but it comes from the water element instead of the fire element. This is the type who breaks down sobbing in order to get what she wants. She cannot be trusted. Her emotions are either all over the place or completely blocked. Lack of compassion or empathy. And the female lead in Fatal Attraction might be the perfect representation of this card reversed. So Teresa points out a really great exercise as well to do when you're not sure about the court cards, or any card for that matter. Ascribe those cards to pop culture, to a movie that you like, to a TV series, even if it's Real Housewives. Pick out Who in the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills would be the Queen of Cups or the Queen of Wands or the Queen of Swords or the Queen of Pentacles? Or would they even be queens at all? Would they be pages? Would they be knights? Especially someone that tends to run into relationships or be a serial monogamist. That might be a Knight of Cups energy rather than a Queen of Cups energy or a Page of Cups energy. So do that and see the connections that you can make, because again, the more personal your interpretation, the deeper the meaning, the more you learn, the more you get better at tarot. So Dina's saying, I will not be ignored. Yeah, I do that. I do that sometimes to my husband, and he gets really freaked out. Everyone gets freaked out when you try and quote from Fatal Attraction, you know? Okay, so that's the Queen of Cups. Note the cherubs and the sea nymphs on the throne. The cherubs can connect, suggest a connection to the spirit world and subconscious, the fancy cup. So again, that cup not only can represent the feelings or the wellspring of feelings, but it also can indicate psychic wisdom and spiritual wisdom. And notice again, that lid on it, as Dina pointed out, is the mastery of that. The concept of mastery also comes up when you see mastery of intuition or mastery of psychic knowledge comes up in the High Priestess card, because sometimes in different decks, the bare foot of the High Priestess will be resting on top of a crescent moon. Again, that lunar aspect, that watery aspect, mastery of the psychic arts. So just a thought. So that is the Queen of Cups. So we have covered all the queens. Hi, Maybelline. How are you? And now we're moving on to the kings. So let me hide that. Let me put that away. So let's start with the King of Wands. And I will pull this up here, and I'm going to take another sip of water because I need it. But first, I am going to turn to the King of Wands. All right. So I have this out here. And while I'm taking a water break, you guys go ahead and take a water break. I don't see us going past an hour for this class. So we're going to run down the kings. And then I'm going to give you your weekend forecast from the Work Your Light Oracle. And I'm going to allow you to start your weekend. Okay, so King of Wands, again, the element is fire, and you can see it in the card and in the card's colors. The King of Wands is honest, straightforward, entrepreneurial, and confident to the core. Kings indicate mastery and authority. This king is a passionate leader who motivates others into action. If you've ever experienced the charisma of a fire and brimstone preacher or a motivational speaker like Tony Robbins, you have felt this card's burning intensity. If anyone can do it, the King of Wands can, and he wants you to succeed too. So a note about this, it's interesting that we talk about the King of Wands and we think entrepreneurship, but it is creative. It is a creative endeavor to be an entrepreneur, to have that skill set, to have that drive, to have that motivation. Again, wands are the suit of the will, the drive. Why do you do what you do? So the fact that Teresa cited Tony Robbins makes a lot of sense for the King of Wands. Again, think about who in your life could be a King of Wands, if you are a King of Wands, or go to... this is like permission to binge watch to find the King of Wands energy in TV shows that you're watching, movies that you're watching. Again, that's a really excellent exercise if you're not sure how these weird esoteric cards fit into your own life, because I say this a lot. when we talk about tarot, if you don't see your own life in the cards, you're not going to be able to get a really good empowered reading. You're not going to feel that connection. So you have to be able to see your life in these cards. That's the reason why sometimes people resonate more with photo decks or photographic decks rather than the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. And that's the reason why we have different themes as well. The baseball tarot, if you're a big baseball fan, that might be the way for you to understand these different personalities and energies, is to have it in a more palatable way for you to understand it. So, good point, Dina. Shark Tank. I did not make that association, but absolutely. King of Wands could be an entrepreneur, one of the sharks evaluating the products, or one of the entrepreneurs that are going on, or inventors that are going on there to present their product. Great points. See, you guys are getting it. You got to make it personal in order to really understand it sometimes. So, King of Wands, when reversed, he loses his momentum and sputters out. He may decide that he doesn't want to hold so much responsibility after all. His fire is extinguished and his attitude turns quick-tempered and impatient. The reversal can also indicate someone with dictator-like tendencies and an egomaniac with a god complex. This also can indicate power in the wrong hands. So that is the King of Wands reversed. Now, again, you don't have to read with reversals if you don't want to. It's not a requirement. And I do have an episode of Tarot by Hilary Live where we cover reversals, so you may want to go back and check that out. So that is the King of Wands. Let's move on to the King of Swords. I believe it's right here, and then I'm going to have to circle back in the book in order to get to the King of Cups, which we'll finish with. Okay, so King of Swords, the element is air, and you can see that from the blue sky behind him, the clouds, the trees are kind of in the wind. The King of Swords is a stern guy, but he's always fair. Like other members of the Swords Court, he's concerned with justice and truth. When I see the King of Swords, that gets heightened for me. Like the truth, the truth, the truth. What is the truth? This does tend to be a card that tends to deal in black and white. Again, very logical, not unlike his counterpart of the Queen of Swords. But to me, it's just more magnified. And this sometimes can indicate black and white thinking. Someone not being able to understand the gray area, or not understanding like more nuanced emotions that are not so extreme. So that's my take on that. Teresa's take. His energy tends to be intellectual and authoritative. He's often seen as a thought leader, boss, or professional male. A true pro, he has the experience to get the job done right. This card can indicate mastery of the mind, a logical Mr. Spock type who makes his decisions through reasoning and not emotions. So the reversal is no more Mr. Nice Guy. So King of Swords reverse can get real nasty. That's me saying that. But yeah, if you reverse the King of Swords, he becomes a power monger who will do whatever it takes to bend circumstances to suit his will. Corruption, zero integrity. He acts without scruples or concern for the law. Could be a white-collar criminal or a tyrant, the hostile boss from hell, or the abusive father. Yikes. So yeah, the King of Swords reversed is not a pretty sight. That being said, not all reversals are negative. Sometimes they can indicate good things. So don't have that black and white thinking when it comes to the tarot. So that is the King of Swords. 2 more to go, and then we're done. So we are on the King of Pentacles. And if you're thinking money, 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 you would be correct when you're talking about the King of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles too, to some degree. So, King of Pentacles is the element of earth. The King of Pentacles is the master of the coin and a symbol of marital success. Oh, sorry, not marital success, material success. Freudian slip there. Material success. This is the stable, down-to-earth man who provides well for his family. The King of Pentacles is confident and secure. He's protective and benevolent. Think father knows best. This card could be interpreted as a successful businessman, mogul, or boss. Wealth and stability. Mastery of finances. You definitely want this guy as your chief financial officer or accountant. So the reverse King of Pentacles can suggest failure or a corrupt ruler, unable to provide or doesn't want to, a deadbeat dad. If this is a businessman or politician, he's going to have one question on his mind: what is in it for me? When reversed, this card can represent a person who is willing to use whatever financial means possible to get his way, even if it means breaking the law or accepting a bribe. Bad business mojo. So that is the reverse meaning of the King of Pentacles. And again, take a look at the symbology on the King of Pentacles. The scepter, it's a gold scepter. It's a gold coin. There are vines, grapes, and flowers. It shows a lot of abundance, material wealth, comfort, luxury. And the colors, the yellow, there are some mountains in the background of blue. There is a bull's head on the throne that can indicate like a bull market, which is, financial. It feels very opulent because that is what the King of Pentacles is. But he's also very practical as well. So sometimes with the with like luxury run amok, or again, that reversed meaning can tend towards extremes. So that is the King of Pentacles. And finally, we'll end with the King of Cups. So Cups is the element of water. The King of Cups can indicate a mature love or commitment. It can represent leading with the heart. So it's interesting that, remember when Dina asked, what does it mean that her cup is covered, that there's a lid on the Queen of Cups? And I talked about mastery. But remember that the Queen is not the king. The King of Cups seen here, he has both a scepter, but he also has the cup. But the cup looks like it's an open cup. There's no lid on it. So what could that potentially mean? Could it be that he doesn't feel the need to protect it? Could it feel that he's secure in his emotions so that he doesn't need to have to put a lid on it and cover it up and master it in that way? That's what I'm seeing. But what do you guys think? I would love to hear it. So, let love rule. The King of Cups has mastered his emotions and leads with love. He's kind, generous, and cares deeply. He provides unconditional love for his family. Although sensitive, he may choose to suppress his own emotions if he feels that it serves the situation. Reverse, the King of Cups loses his footing and drowns in a sea of his own making. This can show up as a clingy, manipulative partner who cannot get a grip on his emotions. Deception and swindling are also possibilities. The King of Cups reversed can be emotionally unstable with a tendency towards addictive behaviors, or a rude and immature dude. Remember, it doesn't necessarily have to be male, female, because we have aspects of feminine and masculine energies in us all. So, and then the symbols that you may be seeing right now, again, the water, there's a ship in the background, there's a leaping fish. Fish represent the subconscious and emotions. And it's a reminder that the king's emotional and spiritual energy is always in the background, guiding everything he does. So, I like that interpretation. Actually, let me pull back up the Queen of Cups so we can look at these side by side. But I really like what Dina just said. So, Queen of Cups. So I'm going to show her here too, and you can see my face over here, but pay more attention to the cards themselves. So I'm going to pull this up. Dina says, in matters of the heart, women are the masters. So again, we don't want to make generalizations about, females and males. We do have aspects in us and all of us, but because it's the queen, it's like watery upon watery. And if you do tend to work with elemental dignities, I don't, but we did talk a little bit about I believe the elements, I think last week when someone asked. But the concept of elemental dignities is these two elements get along and skyrocket the situation while these two elements kind of negate each other out or cause or like not as exalted as this combination. But when we're talking about, and then court cards themselves can be, the queens can be a designation, an elemental designation, and the kings can be, and the pages and the knights. So then it becomes this kind of formula where it's just like queen, watery, cups, watery, double watery. And that's what you would see when you would say the Queen of Cups. So that's like roughly in a nutshell what elemental dignities kind of talk about. And also there is a background of a common element for each court card that is separate from the suit that it comes up in. So it kind of becomes a combination of reading those energies together to form that interpretation. So, like I said, I don't really read tarot in that way. So I can't really teach it because I don't know it myself. It doesn't vibe with how I personally read tarot, but it is an option there. So Dina's comment is the Queen of Cups is the real master of the emotion, feelings, intuition, rather than the king because of the lid. Yes. Dina's saying, maybe I should say queens are the masters to be less gender specific. Yes, let's do that. But here, I really wish I had a pointer to be like, here's this and here's this. But you can see the Queen of Cups does have the lid, and the King of Cups is sitting there in almost a more open posture. So I would interpret almost the King of Cups to be like secure in his emotions because he doesn't have to deliberately cover it up. But Dina's saying that the queens are the masters in that particular suit because it's a matter of the heart. So different interpretation, which is all valid. Again, your personal interpretation absolutely is valid. So thank you all for tuning in. Let me go ahead and hide this and take those down. So we have now covered all of the court cards. Let me pull back up my agenda and sorry, let me put back up my pretties. My pretties. I could do that one too. That's huge, but whatever. So again, book recommendations. And I recommended this last week, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again. I don't have the books to hand to show you besides the tarot coloring book. But the Tarot Coloring Book by Teresa Reed, excellent book. Ethany's book, The Tarot Court, or I think it's called Your Tarot Court, is also available. And it's, I think you can find out more about it just by going to her website, ethany.com. And I will put that in the link. Pretty sure that is her website in there. Give it a second to pop up. And let's see. As always, I'm going to recommend Melissa Sanova's book, Kitchen Table Tarot, and her second book, Tarot Elements. Tarot Elements is all about 5 readings to reset your life, and it is all based on the 5 elements of the tarot: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. So I recommend those 2 books. And yeah, let me go ahead and put this back on my bookshelf. It's a wonderful resource to get. And now, hopefully let's not knock everything over while I do that. Let's do our weekend forecast, shall we? Because I don't want you to go into the weekend unprepared. Now, remember, before I move on to the weekend forecast, go ahead and watch the part 1 of the court cards video in order to learn more in depth about the pages and the knights so that you have a complete understanding of the court cards. All right. So we are going to do the weekend forecast. This is our reading for the collective for this weekend, and I am pulling from the Work Your Light Oracle by Rebecca Campbell, artwork by Danielle Noel. They also came out with a new oracle deck called the Starseed Oracle, and it looks really, really beautiful. I haven't picked it up yet, but I really, really want to. So that's what it looks like, the Work Your Light Oracle deck. And if you are interested in getting a tarot reading for the collective, I did do that 2 episodes ago, and it's your 2020 tarot reading for the collective. And I pulled a card for every month from January to December for the year 2020 and a 13th theme card for the year. And we happened to receive the Fool card for the theme of 2020. So if you're interested in checking that out, go ahead. It's in the replays, it's on YouTube, and it's also in the replays in the Facebook section, the Facebook business page. So, weekend forecast. What do we most need to know this weekend? Okay. Oh boy. So this weekend, I'm going to preface this a little bit. So on tomorrow, this weekend, is the celebration of Imbolc, which is the light returning spring awakening. It is sacred to Bridget, who I am actually in priestess training for, to train to be a priestess of Bridget. And it's her holiday that we're celebrating this weekend. And she is both patron goddess of the well and the forge, blacksmithing, healing, poetry, inspiration. There's pretty much nothing she can't do. And the reason why I'm saying this is we received the initiation card from the Work Your Light Oracle deck tonight. So that says rite of passage. You're going somewhere sacred. So that's the reason why I prefaced with it is Imbolc this weekend, and I will be meeting with my coven to do ritual for Imbolc, to celebrate Imbolc. This is such a gorgeous deck and a gorgeous card. I wish I could just like hold it up here, but I have to put it down for a second so I can give you the interpretation from the guidebook. But I hope the initiation is resonating for you. It might be a deep dive kind of a weekend where you're going to feel the pulls of initiation. And sometimes initiation can be really scary. It can be a big question mark. We don't know where that experience is going to take us. And I think sometimes the not knowing, not having the certainty, or the rug pulled out from under us can give us more lessons than consistency and security. So that's some of my quick interpretation of what the initiation card could mean for us this weekend. So, and like I said before about oracle decks, they have their own structure. They have their different guidance. It's not the same as a tarot card deck where you have the major arcana, the minor arcana, the court cards, like we just talked about. Different oracle decks will have different structures. So this particular oracle deck has a suit of confirmation cards, a suit of inquiry cards, a suit of action cards, activation cards, and transmission cards. So the initiation is an action card. And let's find out what it means according to the guidebook. So I'm going to hold it up as I'm telling you. So there is a temple in India that looks terrifying from the outside, but inside it is filled with jewels, and it is one of the most loving places imaginable. This represents the journey that the soul pilgrim is required to take to reach somewhere sacred, but only the initiated can enter. Perhaps that's where you are right now. You are being tested, initiated, because you are headed somewhere sacred. Initiations require that we cross the threshold from one world or state of being to the next. We are called to face what scares us and have to be willing to lose it all in order to gain a new way of being, of safety, of security, of depth, of meaning. If you're in the middle of an initiation right now, you will get through it, and one day soon you will bless the thing that broke you down and cracked you open, because the world needs you open. You are going somewhere sacred. It will be worth it, and you are closer than you think. So the action required is you're going somewhere sacred. Let it crack you open. So that is your weekend forecast for this weekend, in bulk weekend, at the time of this recording. And I hope it serves you. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, a little bit of clerical stuff. We do this. Let me see. Hold on. Let me take down the weekend forecast. We do this every Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to take that down. Bring this up again. So if you want to book a reading with me, go to tarotbyhilary.com. That is Hilary with one L. Otherwise, you're finding someone else if you don't spell it with one L. If you would like a personalized reading with me, you can go ahead and book one on my website. If you want to join us in the Tarot Intuitive course, it is open for enrollment until Monday, and that is when we are starting the class. Get in there. If you are liking these free workshops, you will have way more access to me than this if you join us in the Tarot Intuitive. And remember, for a one-time payment, you join us for the lifetime of the Tarot Intuitive when I teach it. So that means we invite you back each year. You're only having to pay one time. So what could be better than that, right? Oh, Katie's here. Thank you for lurking, and better late than never, right? I am Hilary, a professional tarot reader, demystifying the mystical and putting you in touch with your own intuition, because yes, my friend, you've got intuition. Everybody has intuition. I will see you next week, same time, same bat channel, and let me know what you want to learn about. I would love to hear it. And yeah, enjoy your weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.